Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I am joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall and Michael Reed. We are joined by a very special guest, NFL senior writer for the Boston Globe, Mr. Ben Volin, also of Churchill High School, fellow Moco boy. How you doing tonight, Ben?
What's up, guys? How are we doing today?
Doing fantastic. We already went through this once, Ben, but if you can, there's a big matchup coming up on here Thursday against Washington football team and the New England Patriots, which you are very close to. You go to the practices every day. So if you can, what are the biggest weaknesses and strengths for the New England Patriots?
Biggest weaknesses and strengths. Let's start on offense. The biggest weakness, I think, obviously, is the passing game and the quarterback. It's really kind of the biggest unknown right now. They drafted Mac Jones in the first round, but they brought Cam Newton back. Belichick has been very clear that Cam is our starter. Doesn't mean that Mac can't win the job at the end of camp. I think these next 3 weeks are going to be big for Mac Jones about whether he can build off the first few weeks and really impress the coaches with what he's retaining and how he's processing things on the field. But, Cam Newton is probably going to be the starting quarterback. And, coming off not a very good season, he only had 8 touchdown passes last year, and 3 of them came in a meaningless Week 17 game. So I think they only averaged like 190 passing yards per game throughout the season. Just couldn't get it done. Cam got worse as the season went along. I think that was most disconcerting. But they did get better pieces around him. Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry at tight end, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne at wide receiver. They've hopefully beefed up the offensive line. So I think the Patriots believe that also Cam Newton in his second season in the offense will have some. He'll do less thinking and more just natural reacting. So clearly the biggest weakness on offense and the biggest question mark is the passing game. Their biggest strength is their running game between Damian Harris, Sony Michel, James White. They got this kid, J.J. Taylor, is a second-round kid. They drafted Ramondre Stevenson from Oklahoma in the 4th round. Very deep at running back. They're going to be a run-heavy team, a lot of play action. Damian Harris, if he stays healthy this year, I think he's in line for a huge season. Just looking great in camp so far. And I think the Patriots, they want to take the pressure off Cam Newton, not have him drop back 30, 40 times a game. On the other side of the ball, their strength is their secondary between, I'm assuming they're going to get Stephon Gilmore back. He's got a little bit of a contract squabble right now, but I assume he'll be back and ready in time for week 1. With him and J.C. Jackson, who had 9 picks last year, Jonathan Jones in the slot. They have a very deep cornerback group. They signed Jalen Mills from the Eagles. He's kind of a hybrid corner safety. Then Devin McCourty is back, and he's still on top of his game, a leader of the defense. Adrian Phillips, one of these hybrid linebacker safeties, he had a great season last year and has been making a ton of plays in camp. So their secondary is loaded. The big question mark is their run defense. Last year they were 20th in the league at 4.5 yards per carry, and so they've completely retooled the front. It's really the front 6 now. They got back Dante Hightower. They signed Matthew Judon from the Ravens. They brought back Kyle Van Noy from the Dolphins. So 3 new starting linebackers from a year ago. Then they signed Devon Gottschall from the Dolphins. Drafted Christian Barmore, signed Henry Anderson from the Jets. So they brought in a lot of new pieces in the front 6, specifically to help stop the run. So that's where all the focus was in the offseason on the defensive side of the ball.
Right, and you mentioned Cam Newton and the quarterback position. As you know, they drafted Mac Jones in the 1st round at number 15 overall. How has he looked in camp so far, and could you see Mac Jones possibly taking over this New England Patriots team during the season?
I definitely think it could happen during the season. Cam Newton, I think he's going to be the starter for week 1. I think Belichick would prefer to bring Mac Jones along slowly and frankly make sure he's over-prepared by the time that he goes in the game. And Belichick genuinely does respect Cam Newton for his work ethic and his leadership and his consistency. Just we'll see if Cam Newton can play this year. And if he doesn't improve from last year and the Patriots struggle, I don't think Belichick's going to hesitate to make the switch to Mac Jones this time. The Patriots spent a lot of money in the offseason, $175 million fully guaranteed on over 25 free agents. They basically imported a new team. The message was clear. They're not, willing to sit around for a slow rebuild. They don't want another one of these 7-9 seasons. They want to win now. So if Cam is not holding up his end of the bargain, Belichick will definitely, I think, make the switch to Mac Jones. And they've already put Mac Jones on kind of an accelerated time frame compared to other young quarterbacks that they've had in here. He's already the backup. He's not really working with the rookies and the third stringers. He's already working with the first and second team guys. So if Cam is not holding up his end of the bargain, Mac Jones, I think, will get the nod at some point this season. But I do think in Bill Belichick's perfect world, Cam is healthy and productive throughout the season, and they can sit Mac Jones for the whole year.
Right. Yeah. And one thing people always tend to forget is that New England had so many players just sit out last season because of COVID. Like they just had so many players that they just didn't want to play or they didn't want to risk it. And they're getting a lot of guys back. One person that I've always found very interesting, or at least for the last couple of years, is he's kind of an anomaly because I loved him when he was coming out, is N'Keal Harry. What is going on with N'Keal Harry? Is he on life support? Is he going to make the team? Is he going to end up being traded? What's going on with him?
It's a great question. He did request a trade before training camp, and then his agent said, well, we're going to report and show up if a trade doesn't happen.
Right.
I think the Patriots told him, you idiot, don't say that. Now we can't trade you. Now we're not going to get any trade value. So, it's kind of baffling to me that he hasn't had a successful start to his career. 32nd overall pick a couple years ago. The guy's built like a freight train. I mean, you notice him out on the field. When he's standing next to his fellow receivers, I mean, he's the biggest, thickest guy out there. And it kind of baffles me that he's not running through people and making more contested catches, because he certainly has the frame and the build to be that kind of big jump ball, kind of power forward type of receiver. And, the Patriots offense, I think, is notoriously difficult on young receivers. It's a long list of guys who have kind of flamed out here. And I feel like for the first two seasons, N'Keal Harry, he battled some injuries, set him back. And you can see him thinking. He's not playing naturally fast. So, he's having a great start to camp so far, but, so are also several other receivers, which makes me think that just receivers, this is a time of year for them to shine in the passing game when the pads aren't on right now. When you have to take the contract into consideration, he's cheap this year. He's only $1.4 million, and it's fully guaranteed because he's a first-round pick. So if I'm the Patriots, I would give him one more chance. Like, I wonder if he kind of too soon requested a trade, and I wonder if the Patriots were still willing to give him a chance for the season. So, I mean, I think if they don't get a decent trade offer, I would keep him and let him see what he can do for one more year, because the money's guaranteed and it's not that expensive.
Right.
That said, they do have other options. They brought in Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. They also have Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers was an undrafted rookie the same year that N'Keal Harry was a first-round pick. And Myers has had so much more production and has really established himself. So it just goes to show what a crapshoot the whole thing is. But, I mean, Harry's had a good camp, but it's one thing to do it in practice, and it's another thing to do it in the game. So I'm very eager to see what Harry can do Thursday night against Washington.
Sometimes it takes receivers 3-4 years. I mean, look at Devontae Parker over in Miami. It took him a long time, but all of a sudden he's a number one. So
exactly. Now, Ben, PFF made a lot of headlines either today or yesterday by saying that the Washington football team is the most overrated team in the NFL. You grew up in the area, you went to Churchill, Moco boy, and you covered the NFL for the Boston Globe. Do you agree with Pro Football Focus that Washington is the most overrated team in the NFL?
I do not agree with that. I think by far the most overrated team is the Tennessee Titans. They trade for Julio Jones. Everyone's got him in the Super Bowl now, where I am much more skeptical of what Julio Jones can bring to the table now. I think he's still a good receiver, but I don't know if he's still elite. I love what Washington did in the offseason. First of all, I think Ron Rivera, laid a good foundation last year. Even though it had a losing record, still with that quarterback situation to win the division, get to the playoffs, make some noise, put a scare into Tom Brady. I liked what they started building last year. I really liked the Curtis Samuel and the William Jackson signings. And guys, I love the Fitzpatrick signing. That's who I wanted the Patriots to get.
Really?
I think absolutely. I think of all the options at quarterback, available in free agency, Fitz was the guy. I mean, I think he got a raw deal in Miami. He never should have gotten benched last year. That clearly was a decision made, over the coach's head, it seems like. And he was clearly the better quarterback than Tua, and I think he would have taken the Dolphins to the playoffs. And he's kind of like Tom Brady. Like, yeah, he's 38, 39 years old, but a lot of these quarterbacks, that's when they're starting to play their best ball now, because the game just clicks for them and it makes sense.
Right.
And so I love, the Washington defensive line, as you guys know, is ferocious, and I think they're going to have a great defense this year. And I love the Fitz signing. If they can just kind of corral him and keep some of those, gambler plays in check a little bit, that gunslinging mentality. Fitzpatrick's the guy who I wanted the Patriots to get instead of Cam Newton. So I definitely think Washington is kind of on the up this year, as they're still trying to maybe figure out their long-term plan at quarterback.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. I was a big Fitz guy too. If you listen to the local radio around here, it's literally split. I don't think it's ever been this split since probably the Kirk Cousins RG3 thing, where one side of the spectrum is, I think Fitz is going to have a great year. I like Fitz. The other side is the complete opposite. Oh, it's Fitz. He's going to be Fitz tragic. He'll be benched by week 7 for Heineke, all this other stuff. So glad to hear that. There's someone else to support my man Fitz. The Patriots defense is, I would say, the strength of their team. The strength of this team, obviously, is the defense. You mentioned the defensive line. What are some of the personnel matchups you're looking forward to? I know you mentioned that the Patriots beefed up their offensive line. So would it be the offensive line against the 2 edge rushers and Young and Sweat? You want to see Gilmore I don't think Gilmore's going to play, but the secondary versus a guy like Terry McLaurin, who's an up-and-coming receiver. What's a matchup you're looking forward to Thursday?
Yeah, that's always tough for the preseason, because we're not quite sure who's going to play and who's not going to play and how long it's going to be. I have a feeling this might be a game where we see a lot of the backups. I mean, I think Mac Jones, it's going to be the Mac Jones show on Thursday night. I think Cam will probably get a couple series, but then I think Mac will get a lot of work, just because this is the time of the year that Mac Jones can get work. Once the regular season starts, the starting quarterback is getting all the work in practice. So obviously I want to see Mac Jones going up against that defense, how he handles the pass rush, how he handles checks at the lines of scrimmage. And then, for the Patriots, certainly the run defense, I want to see if they can shore up some things up front. But again, these preseason games are tough. Really, what I'm looking for is just who's getting the snaps, who's getting the opportunities. That to me is, important. It's telling who the coaches either like or who they want to get a longer look at. So I'm really just kind of looking at the personnel and who's taking the snaps and who's really catching the eye of the coaching staff more than the individual matchups, just because, who knows how long these guys are even going to be in the game on Thursday.
Right. Yeah. You guys have kind of created a logjam for yourself at the tight end position. I mean, you guys, of course, had fantastic signings, Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. And then last season, you spent 2 mid-round draft picks on Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene. Are you guys going to keep 4 tight ends, or is there going to be a pretty good young tight end available for somebody to scoop up?
There might be. Well, unfortunately for Dalton Keene, he already went on injured reserve the other day, so he's done for the year. Right. Yeah, he's got like a heel or an ankle injury that's kept him out. So he's done for the year. And he was a 3rd-round pick, and then Devin Asiasi was a 3rd-round pick out of UCLA. And he did nothing. Neither of those guys did anything. I think they combined 2 or 3 catches the entire season. So I think, and I heard from a couple of people around the league who were surprised that Asiasi, they liked him and they thought he'd have a bigger impact. And I think the Patriots still do like him. They just wanted to have some veterans ahead of those younger guys so that they don't, like a guy like Asiasi doesn't have the pressure to perform and be the starter. But Hunter Henry is already hurt. He's banged up. He's got a bum shoulder, and he's out for a couple weeks at least. So they're going to need him. The guy who's probably on the roster bubble is this guy, Matt Lacoste. He was on the Broncos before coming to the Patriots a few years ago. If Hunter Henry comes back healthy and everyone stays healthy, it's probably Jonnu Smith, Henry, and Asiasi. And then they've got an NFL international player, Jakob Johnson, who he came over, and it's funny, he's from Germany. He had limited experience a few years ago. Belichick really had wanted nothing to do with him. He's like, all right, the NFL's giving us this guy. Like, okay, I guess we'll just keep him. And this guy, Jakob Johnson, has just worked his butt off and really impressed Belichick and the coaching staff. And now he's their fullback. So they'll probably keep 3 tight ends and a fullback. But yeah, with Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, they're the linchpins of the offense. It's going to run. The offense is going to revolve around them. Henry's your more traditional tight end. Smith is your more move tight end. Josh McDaniels is going to have a lot of fun kind of moving Jonnu Smith all over the place, getting him isolated on the right one-on-one matchup.
Oh, yeah.
That's the guy there was a highlight with the Tennessee Titans where Smith lined up as the tailback. He took a toss right, and he went 59 yards up the right sideline. So, a guy his size should not be able to run as fast as he does. So he's just an athletic freak. and I think he's going to be a really nice weapon for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, to wrap this up, Ben, I have 2 questions for you, all right? And the first one, I have to give some context to it, okay? Because I don't want you to bite my head off as soon as I say this. But Belichick and Tom Brady, they separate. I know that they've had a bunch of success together. Tom goes down and gets a Super Bowl in Tampa. My first question to you is this considered a tell-it year for Bill Belichick, a prove-it year for him to say that he can have a sustainable winning team without Tom Brady? Then the second question I have for you, if you could take one player from Washington and put him on New England, who would that be?
I kind of want Fitz. I love Patrick. I'll take one of those pass rushers. I mean, Chase Young. I'll take him all day. What a freak that guy is. He's going to be a tremendous player. Terry McLaurin would fit in great here too. They could use some receivers. So there's definitely some talent on the Washington team. And like I said, I think they're finally building it. Heading in the right direction. And I'm sorry, what was the first part of the question?
The first question was in regards
Brady
to
and Belichick.
Yes.
Brady and Belichick.
Is it a prove-it year for Belichick based on Brady winning it last year and kind of having the who won the deal kind of way?
No doubt. I mean, Brady winning definitely turned the heat up big time on Belichick and the Patriots and the Crafts. Belichick got crushed all throughout the Bucs playoff run and the Super Bowl. I mean, just looked so bad. And, everyone in New England's thinking, like, why isn't Tom Brady doing this for us again? Why is he in Tampa Bay? Why couldn't these guys make it work out? So, hold on. Get a visit from.
That was the cutest moment in Burgundy history.
He wants to see the podcast here. I mean, there's no question. The spending spree this offseason, I think, is a direct reflection of
What's up, man?
What's up?
Say hi. Who's your favorite team? The Steelers. Oh, Steelers.
Don't say that around me, bud.
Oh my goodness. Talk this kid. But there's no doubt that the pressure's turned up immensely on Belichick. And look, he's got an ego like everyone else, and he does not want on his resume to say never won without Tom Brady, and that's kind of the knock on him right now. So no question, Belichick is going for it, wants to get back to a Super Bowl. I don't know if it's this year, but just in general, he definitely wants to get back to the Super Bowl without Tom Brady.
Of course. And Ben, I can't thank you enough for taking time out and joining us and introducing us to your son. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a good night. If you can, real quick before you go, just plug your Twitter handle so folks can find where you're at to find all your NFL bits.
Thank you. Please read my work on bostonglobe.com, and you can find me on Twitter at Ben Volin, VOLIN. And go Churchill Bulldogs.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
All right, Ben, we'll see you. All right, have fun. And hopefully the watch football team goes out with that W on Thursday. Hope everyone stays healthy. Ben, have a good night.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, guys.
Take it easy.
Hey, that was great. We just spoke with Ben Volin, a fellow Moco boy.
Yeah, and it's always nice to hear an opposing sidelines view on Washington and them having something positive to say. Like you said, as soon as he said the Fitzpatrick thing, I was pumped. He's recognizing we have pieces to build off of, and you hear that, PFF? So back off of us, okay?
Right. I've listened to that, and that was ridiculous. They're just trying to get, trying to get points. I get it. But I apologize because I knew that was very New England centric, but I wanted to kind of give because especially for me during this offseason with everything going on with Washington, so much has happened to where you can't focus on the rest of the NFL and what's going on with each of these teams. And that's why I wanted to kind of know more about our opponent on Thursday, kind of see where these matchups are and who we could see, who's good, who's not, and based on the backups there. So hope Ben did a great job with that, bring a whole lot of insight into New England. I feel like I know them better than anyone right now.
Definitely. And like you said, always good to get a fellow Moco guy that's expanded out, went to another place, doing his thing. So, yeah, can't wait for Thursday. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, and then before we move on to our fan questions, I did briefly want to talk about Friday Night Football because I just wanted to say it was an incredible experience. We showed up there. I was able to see Rio right away, went in with Rio and his dad, went inside, and then we went up to the tasting. Look, I'm telling you guys right now, I tasted all of the new venues and vendors that could be producing food for Washington fans at FedEx Field. And it was incredible, dude. There was this fried catfish. It tasted like chicken tenders. I thought it was a chicken tender. I took a bite into it and I was like, this is not chicken. Now, it was delicious. But I'll tell you right now, the one signature dish And it was as soon as I saw Joey, as soon as I got up to that suite area, Joey was like, go over to Smith Mountain Ice Cream. I want you to go ask for the Hog Wild Sundae.
I saw everybody posting about that.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was like 3 scoops of ice cream. It had caramel syrup on it. It had chocolate syrup on it. There were
Reese's Pieces or something.
Reese's Cups, M&Ms, and there was like pretzel bites in it. It was delicious. I couldn't. I was eating it, and there were people literally left and right stopping, like, "Hey, what's that?" I'm like, turn around, go right there. The Hog Wild Sundae. They got it for you.
Oh wow,
that sounds banging,
dude. So like that's gonna be the signature dish whenever like Monday Night Football comes around, and they do the whole spiel about the one meal that they have at the stadium. That's gonna be what the feature is for Washington from here on out. Is that Hog Wild Sundae? I'll tell you that right now. Practice was incredible. I had my notes all set up, all ready to go. I'll tell you this, I'm not surprised by them putting Cam Curl and Landon Collins on the unofficial depth chart as the starting safeties. Not surprised at all. Jamin Davis is the Mike linebacker. I will tell you that right now from what I've seen personally. And one note that I told the guys, the other podcasters, about Diami Brown. He played with the second unit. Taylor Heineke was his quarterback. There was times where he would read the zone, find the hole in the zone, running an in route, Mike in the zone. He would run an in route, find the hole. Taylor would get him the ball. He'd get upfield easily. Happened multiple times. And one of the guys were talking like, man, Diami is really good. I'm like, yeah, but also notice this. You don't see any coaches going up to him after the play, which tells you he's doing everything right. And I could easily see him starting very soon. And they're keeping him on second team, so nobody really knows what's going on. I highly think that he's going to be in the lineup. He is checking all the boxes.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've heard about him is how explosive and how good he is. And you're right. It's almost kind of like Terry McLaurin was his rookie year, where it's kind of just like this guy shouldn't be hitting all these boxes as a third-round pick, but he's kind of doing everything. And I think he really has so much big play potential. I'm excited to see what he can do. Yeah,
and I will say I was very, very surprised by Samuel Cosmi. He did well against the matchups that he did. There was a certain run play where it was a stretch to the left. So Cosmi is going from right to left with this, and he was matchup on Montez Sweat. He washed Montez Sweat down the line of scrimmage. Did a very good job with that. I know Montez beat him in the one-on-ones with a bull rush, but ever since then, apparently Sam Cosmi has been killing it in the one-on-ones against Chase Young and Montez Sweat. We could have really found a diamond in the rough here, because I'll tell you what, I was concerned about a month or two ago, Sam Cosmi starting, but based on how he's playing Young and Sweat at this point, he chose fight over flight. And this dude is ready to go. And I think he's going to be ready for Joey Bosa week 1 if he can hold his own against those two.
Yeah, I mean, Ron Rivera has definitely mentioned to the media when he's had his pressers after practice that even Montez Sweat, I think today mentioned it, that in the beginning, like obviously Sweat and Young were giving it to him, kind of giving him the rookie hazing. But as camp's gone along, Montez Sweat was saying that not only has Cosmi gotten him better, but he feels like he's gotten Cosmi better. Obviously, Chase Young has gotten him better. There was all, like you said, the reports are out there saying that Cosmi was getting pretty much just beaten down at practice, just getting his welcome to the NFL rookie type of thing in training camp. Yeah. But as the days go along, as his technique is better, as his footwork is better, he's been holding his own. He's been not giving up as many rushes to the quarterback. He's been kind of making the rusher loop outside of the quarterback, so keep the quarterback in the pocket. So these are all good things, great things, promising things. And based off of how he plays in this preseason, I do think he'll be the week 1 starter over at right tackle.
Yeah, and I do believe that we saw the starting defense on Friday. The only difference was that William Jackson III was not in there, so they had Jimmy Moreland actually playing outside in relief for that. But if you take Jimmy away, you plug in William Jackson, that was the defense, which is Benjamin St. Juste out wide and Kendall Fuller in the slot with Cam Curl and Landon Collins at safety, and then Cole Holcomb and Jamin Davis there at your linebacker spots. I felt like that was our starting defense there. I was very intrigued. I liked a lot. One thing I did make a note of, Fitzpatrick and Terry seemed to be on the same page with their routes. There was one play in particular where Terry ran an out route, and Fitzpatrick threw the ball before Terry hit his break, and Terry had enough time to get low to the ground and catch the ball because it was close to the turf. That tells you their cohesion is there. They're reading each other. They know what they're thinking. They're running a certain route. One player was Cam Sims, did run the wrong route, and Ryan Fitzpatrick ran right over to him and talked it out with him. But for the most part, I was very, very surprised with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Taylor Heineke looked really good as well. I talked about him and Diami Brown. They really linked up with one another. And then Terry McLaurin. I mean, the dude is just a baller.
Right.
Just doing Terry things, dude.
Yeah. Do you think that when Sam Cosmi was blocking Montez Sweat to the ground, the whole time he was yelling, "Mike is not a Fed. He's not a Fed.
He's not a Fed."
Yeah.
That's
He was like-
100% what he was saying to him.
You take that back. He's a nice man and a strong, powerful lady.
Yeah, but Friday Night Football was incredible, guys. I absolutely loved it. Make sure you guys go next year if it's possible. This team is legit. I absolutely loved being able to see practice and everything really flowing. It was really cool to watch because you could see how they kind of do practice, and there was some popping going on. I will say John Bates is a very, very hard runner. There were multiple times where he would take the play action stretch across the field, take that ball at the line of scrimmage, turn up field. Both times got lit up by a secondary member running full speed, and he didn't stop at all. Just took the hit, kept going. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch, I feel like. But let's move on to our fan questions. And our first one we're going to start with is Tony Franchise. He says, with the first preseason game coming up, what or who are you most excited to see, Reed?
I'm very, very excited to see, as you mentioned, De'Ami Brown. I don't think that they're going to have him on full display because I think they're kind of going to keep him under wraps until the season. But yeah, De'Ami Brown, if everything that they're saying about him is true, man, and we have another stud at receiver, this guy is pretty incredible, and I can't wait to see what he does.
First thing I'm looking for is the offensive line, to see their cohesion together. I know in camp, Coach Rivera has done a lot of mismatching with the offensive line. Like Eric Flowers will get reps with the one, and then Wes Schweitzer will get reps with the one, and Sadiq will get placed at right tackle. So he's doing a lot of that, but I want to see the cohesion of the offensive line. Can they run the ball better? Because Ben Volin talked about it. Last season, New England was ranked 20th in the league against rush defense. So if they can't run the football against New England right now, that's a big issue in my opinion. So I want to see how the offensive line gels and plays together because that's going to be a huge, huge point of emphasis come week one.
Yeah, like you said, I want to see how the O-line plays. I know it's only going to be maybe a series or two, but I want to see how they look, if they're taking all the right steps together, if their hands are in the right places. Obviously, if they're giving up any type of rush in the interior and the outside. Like you said, you mentioned Cosmi earlier. It's going to be his first start as a professional, even though it's preseason. I want to see how he does against a Bill Belichick-led defense. I want to see how Landon Collins looks. From all accounts, when we were at training camp, from all accounts of the videos I've seen, all the beat reporters saying that he looks in tip-top shape. I know that Kim Jones was out at Ashburn today. She talked to Landon Collins, and he said, like, this is probably the best shape he's been in his life as far as, like, his football life. It was 7.5 months he came back, and it was supposed to be 9 to 12 months. So if he's out there looking like the young Landon Collins, like his Giants days, where he's flying around, I know in practice he's getting picks left and right. He's making plays left and right. So if he's back to young Landon Collins pre-signing here, honestly, and he can do his thing and he get back to like that box safety, that killer box safety, all-pro safety, making plays, flying around the ball, I think that's only going to upgrade his defense. So I'm looking forward to see what he does, see if he's flying around, communicating well. Yeah. And like you said, Sam Cosmi and the rest of the offensive line.
Yeah.
I'm also Benjamin St. Juice as well. I'm sorry. I really, really want to see what this kid can do when he's not just going up against our wide receivers and he can actually use his physicality and he can hit and he can use his length. I'm excited to see what he can do.
I will add to that something I'm very excited about is the competition between the wide receivers with AGG, Kelvin Harmon, and Steven Sims. I want to see how they battle it out and how they perform, possibly trying to get a job with another team or the practice squad here.
That is a good one because I'm not the biggest AGG guy. I haven't been, but look, he could definitely prove me wrong, just like Logan Thomas. When we signed Logan Thomas last year, I was kind of like, I want an Austin Hooper. Look, names don't mean nothing clearly in this league. So if AGG makes the team, I'll be glad because we need another big body guy.
Right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Now, our next question is from Meast, Brandon Reinbold, our VIP fan. I love you, Brandon. Thank you for commenting, brother. He wants to talk about Montez Sweat's comments and with him and Chase Young could possibly break the combined sack record, which right now, thank you to Brandon, said it's 39 is the combined sack record. He wants to know, can they break it this year? Last year, they combined 16.5 sacks, Reed. So can they beat the 39?
I mean, can they? I mean, those two guys are talented as hell. I think I wouldn't put anything past them with their potential and what they can do. Will they? No, I don't think so. Not this year for sure. No, I mean not for sure, but you know what I mean. You know, I'm just saying. That's a lot, man. That's hard. I mean, that's 39 combined sacks. That's one person having 20, one person having 19. Like that's That's a lot. That's a whole lot of sacks. If that happens, this defense is going to be very scary, but very unlikely. But I do think that they will get combined probably over 22.
Okay, you think over 22. I'll put that over 30. I do think they'll get over 30 sacks this year. I'm projecting for Chase Young to get 17 this year. The jump that pass rushers have under Jack Del Rio with that kind of skill set is a huge leap for a lot of these second-year pass rushers. I expect the same for Chase Young. And Montez Sweat is a pass rushing animal in himself, so he's going to be able to get there. But I will say, I don't think they're going to get the record, and the reason being is because last year against Tampa, what was the one thing that they could not do? And that was stopping the run. If you're getting to the pass rusher to the point where you could possibly be breaking records, they're going to make sure to run the ball a heck of a whole lot to take that out of that element away from you. But that being said, they are just too good. I do expect over 30. I just don't know about the 39. I mean, dude, if they got 39, we're going to Super Bowl.
If they get over 30, like you said, I think that this defense is going to be up. We're going to be Super Bowl bound almost.
No, yeah. If they even get anywhere over 30 or sniff 30, then we'll be probably number 1, number 2 defense in the league. This team will probably be somewhere around the top ranks in the NFC because, I mean, if you're causing that much chaos on the defensive side of the ball like that, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
I definitely think that I don't think they're going to break the record. First of all, can they do it? Obviously, yes. Those dudes are freaks of nature.
Yes.
Those dudes are top tier 1% of their class. So they could definitely do it. Like you said, Kyle, I don't think they will because I don't think the opportunities will be there as much. If you look back to last year, like you said, they were 16th in the run defense. So a lot of teams were kind of like, let's just run the ball.
Jamin will help with that, I will say. Jamin
exactly.
Davis will help.
Jamin Davis will help with that. William Jackson will help with that because you can play a lot more man defense as opposed to zone. You can say I got a lot more guys on the run blitzes and stuff like that, a.k.a. Landon Collins.
Yep.
But also, like you said, if you look back to last year, when you got guys like Montez Sweat and Chase Young pushing the pocket from the outside, you got guys like Jonathan Allen, Matt Ioannidis pushing from the inside. There's going to be a lot of quick game passing going on with these opposing quarterbacks trying to get the ball out fast. So it won't be as many opportunities there for them to get those huge sack totals.
Great job.
But I do think that they're going to go over 28, which would be 14 apiece. Right. So I definitely think that if they can sniff between 28 plus, they're going to be this defense will be in great shape.
On top of that, there's going to be a lot of sacks that got to go around because you got to think Jonathan Allen, Matt Ioannidis coming back, Deron Payne, and remember what Nick Hackridge was saying, how he doesn't like the sacks as a statistic because it doesn't necessarily prove anything. I mean, these guys beat their man, and all of a sudden the quarterback steps up into the pocket, and Jonathan Allen's right there. So they might miss out on some chances, but hey, anything's possible.
Right. It is true. Now let's move on to our guy, Orange Crush 92. Thank you so much, Orange Crush, for giving some questions for us, and these are great ones. First one is, the unofficial depth chart just got released by Washington yesterday, and at left guard, they had Wes Schweitzer over Eric Flowers. What are your thoughts on that, Hall?
Yeah, it makes sense. Wes Schweitzer, I feel like he kind of earned that spot to lose based off of last year. Eric Flowers coming in is like, obviously he was here before with the old regime, comes back. From all accounts, he was doing pretty well in camp, getting adjusted to the system, to the new techniques that the offensive line coach teaches. But yeah, for me, it's kind of Schweitzer earned his spot to lose the job, and I guess so far he hasn't lost it. Can he lose it throughout the preseason? Can he play himself out of it? Can someone play themselves into it? Of course, because it's a competition, like Ron Rivera said. But I just feel like if you have Eric Flowers, who had a great year, well, last time he was with us as a backup, that's only bodes well for this rest of the offensive line as far as depth was.
Yeah, and it's a great depth piece. It really is. I like that they went with Wes Schweitzer over Eric Flowers, but we all have to remember, I'm not talking to you, Orange Crush, but we all have to remember this is an unofficial depth chart. You know, this is like a rough draft, essentially. There's not much that goes into it where you can 100% say, oh, that's going to happen. Right now, Wes Schweitzer has earned himself the starting left guard spot. He's done really well in camp up until this point, and he did well with them last season. So, of course, he's going to get the nod over Eric Flowers. And I love Eric Flowers as that backup because we've seen before that he can get plugged in and do well, but he's got to prove it. Wes Schweitzer has less to prove than Eric Flowers. So I love that they went with Wes Schweitzer first and then put Eric Flowers behind him. I thought one of the bigger tells was Sadiq Charles being at right tackle still in that depth chart, to be perfectly honest with you. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, like you guys kind of said, I'm not necessarily surprised by it. Wes Schweitzer played fantastic last year, as you both said, and I think that it's still a rough draft basically at this point. I mean, there's still a lot of battles left to happen between him and Eric Flowers. Will that end up being the case? I don't know, but like you said, Kyle, I was just about to bring that up. The Sadiq Charles still being listed as a backup right tackle and right guard. I
love that right guard bit
Yeah.
with him being behind Sheriff. That's perfect for Sadiq Charles to be able to groom.
So do I. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Now, Orange Crush's next question is a fantasy football question. He wants to know, how do your fantasy leagues handle wild cards? And by wild card, he means, for example, the Taysom Hill phenomenon last year where he could play more than one position. What did your fantasy leagues kind of do to adjust with that Taysom Hill phenomenon, Reed?
I don't even remember. I didn't run any of the leagues. I didn't sign Taysom Hill. Honestly, I don't remember what anybody did with Taysom Hill. Didn't they put him as like a designated flex or something like that? Like you could put him.
Pretty sure
he
got
listed
labeled
as like tight end. Or something.
He was listed as a tight end. That way, people couldn't get quarterback points because basically what was happening is Taysom Hill was going to be able to have quarterback points by throwing the ball and also by receiving and running, and so that they had to kind of equate that and break that down because it's kind of cheap in a way. But what our leagues did is it changed it to tight end. They had to put him at tight end because there were people in our league that would put him at quarterback. Especially this year, he should stay at quarterback, in my personal opinion. But if you're starting Taysom Hill, dude, I mean, best of luck to you. You should be drafting better than that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're somehow stuck with Taysom Hill as your quarterback, unless he's the starter in New Orleans, even then it's kind of
no disrespect to Taysom Hill. I will just say I have been a huge hater of Taysom Hill because I don't understand Sean Payton's love affair with this guy. If he was on any other team, you wouldn't know what his name was. You wouldn't even know he existed if it was on any other team.
People don't even realize he was with the Packers as a backup, like preseason back in the day when he first got drafted. But it doesn't even look like the same player, like clearly. Right. But I mean, look, I can understand why Sean Payton likes him because you can move him all over the field. He's kind of that chess piece on a checkerboard.
He should have stayed on special teams. That should have been his gimmick.
To make him almost like solely a quarterback, again, I can see why he's trying to do it because you see Lamar Jackson doing it. You see like the whole running quarterback phenomenon, but you also kind of got to be able to pass the ball efficiently.
I will say it would make sense if he was trying to adapt a new offense because I've always said, why doesn't an offense kind of adapt and manipulate with a running back that can throw the football? Because essentially you can have toss plays, you can have stretch plays where the offensive line don't cross the line of scrimmage, but you can still throw that ball to a wide receiver past it. And if you could have that kind of dual threat from a running back standpoint, no defense can stop you. At that point,
look at the Ravens.
Especially if you have a good quarterback. So if you have two quarterbacks there that can throw the ball and run at any point, that's a scary combination for defenses. And thank you, Orange Crush. That was great.
I think Taysom Hill's pretty much found his gimmick, though. I mean, the dude has had some success doing what he's doing right now. So,
it's forced.
It's 100% forced, but it's still working.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right. Now our next question is from Tony Shivers. Which NFL fan base annoys you the most, Reed?
Oh, but this is easy. Who do you think? The Cowboys. I mean, it's got to be them, right? I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, I could also say the Steelers or the Eagles or Ravens fans lately, but I'm gonna go with Dallas.
I'm gonna go Philly. I cannot stand Philly fans. They're like one of the worst sports fans in the world. They showed up to a Washington game with a coffin and had Sean Taylor's jersey on it, and a Philly basketball player who played for the pro team, the 76ers, actually beat those guys up because of it. And that goes to show you.
He grew up in D.C.
That kind of scum that walks around that field.
Yeah, shout out to Mike Scott from the D.C. area. Beat the hell out of that dude, which was warranted.
Yeah.
I would probably go Steelers as the number one, even though I'd probably put – or not Steelers, the Cowboys number one, but I put Steelers, Eagles as like 1A, 1B.
Right, yeah.
But I just – look, every year is not your year. It hasn't been your year for 25 years. I'm so tired of hearing that shit. You're not America's team anymore. Please just stop. All Cowboys fans, thank you.
Yeah, and it's not only them; it's the analysts too. They're like they're the team to beat in the NFC East.
Exactly. Really every year, and it's
defense,
always like
the
worst part is it's always like the former Cowboys analysts. It's like, I'm not biased, blah blah. It's like, come on, Jerry Jones still cutting you a check.
All right, Troy Aikman. Come on,
Let's stop having.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, Marcus Spears.
yeah.
Right. Now our next question from Tony Shivers is: who would you guess forces the most fumbles on defense this year?
Oh,
I'll go. I'll go Jamin Davis.
Okay.
I think him coming up playing the run, him being able to run sideline to sideline, I think he's going to be a force in the middle of the field for us. He might get a couple peanut punches out of there, might get a couple fumble recoveries here and there, but I'll go Jamin Davis.
Look, I saw Cam Curl doing the peanut punch on Friday night. I thought that was great. He had it with accuracy, punched the ball, but obviously Terry's not going to give that ball up. But I will say, I think it's going to be Landon Collins because him being that run support, blitzing safety that Jack DeVille is really going to utilize and covet often. I think Landon's going to have the ability to get a bunch of forced fumbles, if not only in the running game, but in the passing game by blitzing the quarterback from behind and getting those fumbles.
Yeah. Chase Young with his strip sack ability, we saw it last year. The guy is a freak of nature when it comes to getting the football out of the quarterback's hands. On top of that, he's so good against the run that he's going to force a few fumbles there. He's a hustle player. He can come up from behind. You can knock the ball out. I'm going to go with Chase Young on this one.
Yeah, that's probably the smartest.
I was going to go Montez Sweat just for the same fact that
I was thinking Sweat.
So athletic. He can just get around the tackle so quickly, kind of. Even if he gets pushed outside the pocket, he has those freaking crazy,
long
Fantastic
arms.
Four, Mr. Stretch arms. You can just smack the ball out like Von Miller style, something like that. So, I'm gonna switch my answer. I'm going Montez Sweat.
Okay, you just switch it up. Now our next question is from Andy Burrows, the host of the DC Tweet Team podcast. Oi! Andy's first question for us, it's a football question. How many wide receivers are we keeping this season? Could you see someone like AGG doing special teams like with punt returns and kick returns? And I'll start with you, Hall.
That sixth receiver is going to have to play special teams. We're going to keep six, in my opinion. But that sixth guy is going to have to be able to play special teams, whether it's DeAndre Carter as the punt returner, or maybe they make a special slot for the punt returner and kick return guy. But I'll go six, and I'll go right now. Again, me personally, I feel like it might be Kelvin Harmon over AGG for that sixth spot, but it's still early. Anything can happen.
Yeah. Dude. I think it's 7. I do. And I do think it's going to be DeAndre Carter there at the 7th. There's going to be a lot of hard decisions here. And I keep flip-flopping between AGG and Kelvin Harmon making that 6th spot. But, dude, there's a good chance that Dax Milne could take that away from both of them. Because Dax Milne does have the youth. I do think the Jets would be very interested in plucking him if he became available. Yeah. Zach Wilson's going to be hitting them up saying, look, I know we have Elijah Moore. I know he's balling out, but go get my boy just in case. And I'm sure that's going to be the case. So that's what I'm kind of worried about. But I would say 7, Andy. And with AGG, he's going to need to play special teams. Because if he's going to have any sort of covet positive in his back pocket to say why he needs to stay on this team, he's going to need to play on special teams as a gunner, something like that. I'm going to need to see some fight out of AGG. You saw that out of Sam Cosmi after getting beat up a little bit. He came back with a force. He came back angry, and he won. Came back, and he's gotten better. I haven't seen that fight from AGG, that kind of grit, determination. So I need to see that from AGG for him to make the squad.
Yeah. I'm the same way with AGG. Special teams as a gunner, some of that nature. I think we could really use him, especially he can be a very physical blocker. So I think he's somebody that you would want. Obviously, you couldn't use him as a kick returner or punt returner. But I definitely like his length. He could really use his length, I think, in the coverage on the punt team, on whatever. So I would hope that he could make the team, but you guys are both right. It's going to be either 6 or 7 wide receivers that we keep, and one of them is going to be a designated, basically a return man. I think it will end up probably being DeAndre Carter. So
yeah, and one thing to remember, I think Michael Phillips talked about this with us last week and discussed how they could stash somebody on PUP like Samus Reyes, so that way they don't have to dwindle that roster position down, so they can keep that roster spot, right? I'm thinking the same thing with the quarterbacks. Kyle Allen's injured right now. There's a very good chance he could land on PUP, and that way they're only going to have 2 quarterbacks on the roster to start the season, and that means they could open up one of these positions for a safety or a wide receiver that we've been talking about. So I do think it'll be 7. Now, the next question from Andy. Reed has been waiting for this. Reed, Andy's question for us is, you, Hall, and Reed start a pop music group. Who's doing what, and what's the band's name? And I'll start with you, Hall.
Oh, man. I'm not musically inclined, but if I was going to play an instrument in a band,
it's a pop group, so like Backstreet Boys.
Pop group. Oh, man.
You're all just singing.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I'd be like the AJ, whatever his last name is, the Backstreet Boys. I'd be like the mysterious, like, but swaggy, cool one. Like, man, what is he?
He's
all
got a
about?
coke
Like,
problem.
Oh, well, I mean, sounds like me. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Wow.
I went
yeah.
far there.
Yeah.
So what's the band name, Hall?
Oh man,
Come
too
on.
cute to boot.
Too cute to boot.
Too
Ooh.
cute to boot. Okay, I'm all about it. I would say the band name's gonna be the Ghostbusters, dude. I feel like that'd be a good one. But what would we be doing? I don't know, man. Probably put Reed in a leotard, have him do a bunch of crazy stuff, look like a WWE wrestler. I don't know. Hall would be the dancer, and I'll just stand up there like a wind chime or something, like, hey.
Why would Hall be the dancer?
Because you can't dance, and nobody wants to see me dance. That's
Well,
why you
I don't
DJ.
think anyone wants to see me dance, but
that's very true. Valid point.
if someone has to dance, I guess it'll be me.
So you guys
I
are
can always
missing.
dance.
So first of all, our boy band name would be either Instinct, because we probably all smell a little bit, or the Berg Street Boys. Naturally, I'm kind of like the leader of the group, so I'd kind of be like the Justin Timberlake type. Only this time, like I'm way much more doper than he is, and just like an all around better looking. Hall would, like you said, Hall, you would kind of be the bad boy of the group. The guy who wears like a leather jacket, who just doesn't really give a shoot. You know? Who's like puking up at the Grammys and stuff and like thrown up on stage. He's just a bad dude. Kyle's the guy that everyone kind of forgets is there. He's kind of like Joey Fatone. I think that was that guy's name.
I thought he was the coke guy.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't know. You might say, who's Joey Fatone? And that's exactly my point. So it's going to be exactly like the podcast. It's going to be me and Hall kind of carrying the weight of the entire of the show. I mean, I'm sorry, of the group. We're going to have mad good voices. So yeah, just like in real life. And I'm the hot heartthrob who will have a successful career, probably more successful than JT, but we'll see. Hall's the bad boy, and Kyle is, you know, Kyle's Kyle.
That was great. Thank you, Andy. Our next question is from our guy, Jeff E. Miles, that you can find on Instagram. He does all of the uniform combos he puts on his Instagram. So go find him and follow him at Jeff E. Miles on Instagram. His first question for us is, if we do okay this year, meaning they make the playoffs and they lose out, they don't make the Super Bowl, and with the QB situation heating up in the NFC East with Watson possibly going to Philly, should we trade up to get Rattler in next year's draft, assuming we miss out on Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, Reed?
It really depends. I'm not the biggest Spencer Rattler fan. Of course I love his ability. It's just when I look at him, do I see him being the face of a franchise? Necessarily not yet, but then again, there's still a lot that has to happen. We have no idea how this college football season is going to shape out. Somebody's going to take a step forward, like we've seen in previous years with Joe Burrow, Zach Wilson, Kyler Murray, all these. There's always somebody who comes out of nowhere and ends up being a high pick. But next year's class isn't as good as this last year's. I do think that they will end up having to go find a rookie or a young quarterback here eventually. So, yeah, I do think that somebody like a Sam Howell or even a Malik Willis, if he shows an improved passing ability, is somebody that you really got to look at. And I think that they're going to have to start taking a look at a quarterback in the early 2 rounds here soon.
Yeah, I do, especially based on how this season goes. You know, it's a building block. They got to get better from last season. And if they're starting to gear towards the ability of saying this is a complete team that is one chess piece away from making that level, I do think they trade up just like the Chiefs did with Pat Mahomes. And because I said this year in the draft, everyone was saying let's trade up for a quarterback this year. Do it. And I was saying, everyone calm down. We need to continue building in these pieces. With all of those teams getting quarterbacks this year, there's less teams that are going to be needing a quarterback the following year. So I think that they're going to have a very good chance of trading up in this draft because it's not going to be as mortgageable, if that makes sense. They could get lucky like Kansas City did with Pat Mahomes. I truly believe that with how many quarterbacks are there.
I don't see them trading up to get Rattler. Just what I saw from Rattler last year, he was like too inconsistent. Towards the end of the year,
freshman.
No, it wasn't. He's like his 3rd year in college. He's just been getting. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I watched him in the Elite 18, bro.
This is
or Elite 11.
He was a red shirt. He was a redshirt freshman or a sophomore or something like that. But either way, that wasn't his first year in college.
He was behind Kyler Murray at the minimum behind Kyler Murray.
I'm saying it's his first year starting.
Oh yeah. I know that. I'm just saying. Again, just my opinion. If he was the guy, they wouldn't have brought in Jalen Hurts. I don't know, but whatever. That has nothing to do with it. I think that I've said this before. I think that Ron Rivera is not going to be in the business of drafting a rookie quarterback, building him up, and just kind of like handing the reins over to him with the already built made team that we have. So I'm calling my shot now. Derek Carr to the Washington Football, whatever they are next year.
Kyle's gonna be so
2022.
mad.
I know Kyle hates.
Get
I
off
know
this
Kyle hates
train,
that.
dude.
Hall,
I
Kyle
can't get
hates
away
that.
from it.
But you drop Derek Carr on this team with these weapons,
Yeah.
this
And
defense,
this defense,
we are instantly a Super Bowl contender.
right? It's similar.
So, with that being said, I don't think they're going to trade up a Rattler. If they do draft a quarterback next year, it'll be if someone drops to them, or it'll be like a later round guy that they can kind of sit behind Fitz, and if he's here in year 2, or sit behind Derek Carr and let them groom come along the way. But I don't think that Ron Rivera is in the business of drafting a quarterback, a young rookie, handing the keys over to him, and kind of just letting him be the face of the team, letting him run this whole team, which is already a ready-made playoff Super Bowl contender with the right quarterback.
I gave you 3 names. Gave you Rattler, Rodgers, and Wilson, and this man still brought up Derek Carr. Leave him in Vegas, Hall.
Because Russell Wilson, I don't think is going anywhere. Even though I would love that.
Neither is Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, Rodgers is, but he's not. He's going west somewhere. He's going out west.
You're right.
Yeah,
Now our next question from Jeff is: now that Saquon Barkley may not play against us in Week 2, I know he was just activated from the PUP, and most likely he is going to be there for Week 1 and Week 2. Regardless, do you see us going 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2 to start the season, Reed?
I think that there is a very good chance that we could go 2-0. The Chargers are a team that, of course, the Chargers scare me a little bit. I think people are kind of sleeping on them still. Justin Herbert's fantastic. He should take another leap forward. They got good pass catchers. Their defense is very underrated. I definitely think that we could beat the Chargers. And then the Giants, I think that we need redemption against the Giants. So yeah, I think we could definitely start 2-0. I wouldn't put it past this, but I think it's more likely to be 1-1. But if we lose, it's not going to be to the Giants. I think even though the Giants have played as well lately, we know we have to beat the Giants.
I have all the confidence in this team that they can get it done, but Lord knows with how life works and how teams kind of gel, I could see them struggling against the Chargers offensively, getting started, because what are you going to do to beat the Chargers Week 1? You got to be able to stifle Joey Bosa, so you got to be able to run the ball well. So you can just play action off that and going to hit deep. I'm worried that they're going to be running the ball well, and that's why I want to see the offensive line gel on Thursday against the Pats. That way we can say Week 1 they're going to look good and they can move the ball, and that's my biggest concern with this. So although I think I'm sure they can go 2-0, I'm guessing with the way life works they might go 1-1.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards 1-1, but I could definitely see 2-0. I think that, like you said, the Chargers is going to be a tough matchup, a great starting matchup to kind of gauge where this team is at. You got a great quarterback in Justin Herbert.
Yep.
Weapons on the outside, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. Austin Eckler's a scat back that's been our trouble. So Jamin Davis, it's your time to shine. Yep. And the defensively, obviously Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa. Sorry.
Oh, I said Joey Bosa. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nick Bosa, Derwin James.
Nick Bosa is on
the
No,
yeah,
Joey.
Yeah, you're right. It is Joey.
Joey.
They both look the same. Who knows?
Joey
Bosa.
You white, you Joey Bosa.
Derwin James is a monster, so
it's he's somebody who's got to stay healthy too.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, that's going to change the defense all the way around. He's a freak of
nature. He's so good.
Yeah, they have a great secondary as well. So I can definitely see that being the tougher of the two matchups. Obviously, Daniel Jones, for whatever reason, turns into like Peyton Manning / Michael Vick when he faces us.
Right.
And obviously, Saquon Barkley just torches us every time he steps on the field, except for that one game. But yeah, I'll lean towards 1-1, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're 2-0.
Yeah, Eli used to do the same thing against us. Thank you very much, Jeff. That was awesome. Our next question is from Sean, the Florida Skins fan. Who is the one player on the roster that's not predicted to make the cut, but you do see making the team? And I'll start with you, Hall.
So it's predicted to get cut, but it's going to make the team. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Surprise make of the team. Instead of a surprise cut, who's the surprise make?
I will go. I'll go DeAndre Carter, just for the simple fact of it's such a tough wide receiver battle. We're stacked at wide receiver right now as far as like depth wise. Can only keep 6, maybe 7. So if they keep 7, I think that it'll be the 6 wide receivers that get on the field, and he'll be that 7th guy that kind of designated as the punt return, kick return guy. And if you would have looked at the roster going into this whole 90-man thing, the last person you would think that would make the team as a wide receiver is DeAndre Carter. So
Yeah, I like that one. Mine is going to be Casey Toohill. I know on the unofficial depth chart doesn't mean much, but he was listed as the backup pass rusher to, I believe, Montez or Chase. I forget which one. So Casey Toohill, I do think, could make this roster. I think he's done a pretty good job of making sure that he can be there. But William Jackson, James Smith-Williams, being the number 3 rusher, he has looked really, really good. So I think Casey Toohill is one of those guys that could make sure that he's going to be sticking around as a backup pass rusher.
All right, I've got a deep cut here. All right, and he's played very well during camp. Cornerback Torrey McTyer. Torrey McTyer has played, or Torrey McTyer.
Yes, dude, he has been balling.
He's played
out.
very well, and I mean, it's going to be a numbers game. Will he make it? Probably not, because corner's so deep.
See, I was going to say that,
but
Reed. I'm so glad I
could.
didn't.
He could totally make the team. He's always seems to be around the ball. Cole Luke does too. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes out. Ron Rivera and them, they don't care how big your name is. If you're playing good, you're going to make the team.
And that was a great one, Reed. Good freaking job.
I know.
Now, let's move on to our last fan question to wrap up this episode, which is from Scott Hartley. Oi! In the UK.
Oi.
He wants to know,
Oi!
Who are your picks for offensive and defensive rookie of the year and team MVP?
For just us or around the NFL?
Let's say us.
Okay.
rookie offense. Oh, you go ahead, read out. I'm gonna think about it.
Okay. So offensive rookie of the year, I'm going to go De'Ami Brown. I think that he is going to have a big season. Is he going to put up 900 plus yards like Terry did his rookie year? No, but I could see somewhere around 600 to 700 yards, and he's got a handful of touchdowns. I mean, that would be huge. And then defensive rookie of the year, I mean, Jamin Davis, I think, is the easy answer there. I think this guy's really going to affect this defense and really going to bring them to a new level.
Yep. I think it's Sam Cosmi, to be perfectly honest with you. If he were to
come
in
go Cosmi
and be the right tackle, be a sustainable force there, not be a liability, I think that he could be a unsung hero of this unsung hero of this season, based on how he plays.
Everyone's talking about him a hung hero.
No, I don't know.
Is he who Jesse saw?
Yeah, I'm not Jesse, dude. I'm not sure. I didn't see a hog. But I will say Sam Cosmi definitely, because it could really pay dividends to this team. Everyone was flipping out about Morgan Moses leaving. Sam Cosmi comes right in, does really well. Proved me wrong. Come months ago, I didn't think he'd be ready to start, but from what I'm seeing, I think he might be.
Defensive wise, I will go. There's not really a lot of selections. I'll go St. Juice or St. Jew. I don't even know how to say it.
It's Juiced. Juiced.
Oh, you're right.
He wrote it on Twitter.
I saw Colin. Yeah. St. Juice. I think that he's going to come in. He won't be like a week 1, week 2, week 3, first quarter of the season guy, but by the middle of the season, you're going to be like, they're going to hear the stadium going Juice every time he makes a play. And offensive wise, I got to stick with the third round guys, De'Ami Brown. I think that, especially with Curtis Samuel kind of being sidelined right now, he's getting way more reps, way more work. I think that I heard they got him working out the slot as well. So if Scott Turner can move him all around the field, slot, outside, stuff like that, I think that he will, like you said, not have a Terry type impact, but he'll have a big enough impact to where people around the league are going to be like, that guy's going to be something next year.
They're going to be like, damn, he shouldn't have went in round 3.
I'm going Jamin Davis, dude. 150%. I think they're putting a lot of work on this kid's plate, and he's eating it all up and ingesting it. He's doing a really, really good job. I think he's going to be the defensive rookie of the year by far. Now, team MVP, that's going to be really fun to discuss.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Team MVP is that's a very tough one, but I'm gonna go. See, I feel like this is almost an easy out, but I'm gonna say Terry McLaurin, because first of all, Terry's so good. We all know what he can do. Him and Fitz are already kind of connecting. And we know what this defense can do. If Terry can put up the numbers that he's capable of, I mean, good God, this guy has Isaac Bruce, Marvin Harrison type skill set. He's such a good route runner. I think that would really just open up everybody. If Terry plays like that, that's going to open up everybody.
I think that Logan Thomas has a legit chance to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Last season, Ryan Fitzpatrick really linked up with Mike Gesicki, does a really good job of utilizing his tight ends. And obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick is a jump ball kind of thrower. And Logan Thomas would love that opportunity against these smaller DBs. So I do think he's going to be getting a lot of work, and he could be a red zone nightmare for opposing defenses, especially given the fact that Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin are on the field as well. So I think Logan Thomas could be an unsung MVP candidate.
You guys know what my answer is going to be. It's going to be
Steven
Antonio Gibson, man. Come on. I think that Logan Paulson hit it right on the head. I think
my best friend / future best man
your
in my
best man
wedding
potential,
/ the person who I am naming all of my children after, regardless of gender. I'm just saying that.
Exactly. Your future best man, Logan Paulson. Said he can potentially be a top 5 guy. I just heard MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew, say that he can be a top 5 guy. He has all the tools to be Christian McCaffrey light, which I love that. That's why they drafted him in the first place.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that, like I said, I think they're going to run the offense through him. I think that him having a big year is going to benefit Fitz to have a decent to good year. I think that it's going to open up everything on the outside as well because they're going to use him in the passing game. I think that the offseason, OTAs, training camp, all that is going to be conducive to him because, like, last year he was a liability on third down. He didn't know his pass protections, didn't know where the hot guy was coming from, didn't really know, like, the whole, like, scheme behind the pass blocking. And so I definitely think that Antonio Gibson takes that Josh Allen type leap from
That's a great one.
this year to next year, and he's puts up top 5 numbers, and he's going to be the reason why people talk about this Washington football team offense.
If he carries a team like that, God, watch out.
I got my jersey. August 20th, it'll be here.
That's silly. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Thank you to everyone for all your fan questions and submittals that you put in. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Scott. Thank you both to Tony, Shivers, and Franchise. Thank you to Florida Skins fan Sean. Of course, Orange Crush.
Love you, Sean.
Thank you so much. And obviously, thank you to Ben Volin for coming on. We had technical difficulties beginning, and he was able to stick around for us. I want to let you guys know this week, our show is going to be on Friday, not on Thursday this week because of the game on Thursday against the Patriots. We have a special guest on Friday that we're going to be able to go over the game and exactly everything that happened.
Right. Yeah. And also shout out to Ben's son showing up. And
Yeah.
if you guys, I don't know when the article's coming out yet. Still waiting
Any
on
second.
all winners. Okay, good. Because,
Yeah. All right, everybody, make sure you go subscribe to our channel and like and hit the notification bell to get notified every time we upload something new, okay? We will see you guys on Friday. And if you haven't already, all of our VIP fans, check out the Discord chat server where you can chat with us directly. All right, everybody, we will see you on Friday. Washington football. Hey! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Hey!